Okay, welcome back. So in this video, I want us to implement the readInt method. So the readInt method converts a string value to a string value from the query string to an integer value. Again, if the value cannot be converted to an integer, right? Then a validation, so in this case we're going to have a validation error, is added to the validation errors map. Okay, and so if you think about it, that makes sense. If the client provided a value that was supposed to be an integer, but we're unable to convert it to an integer, then it means that the client provided the wrong type. And so instead of simply returning a default value, we will actually first specify that it's a validation error, so the client knows that they did something wrong, and only then do we return the default value. All right, so that's the addition we need to make. So let's create this method again. It's a sort of straightforward method. We need to provide the query parameters map. All right, we need to provide the key that we need to search for. And of course, we need to provide a default value. Okay, of type string. And also, we need to have the validation. In other words, we need to be able to pass in the validator so that we have access to it to be able to put in the error message or the error entry. So let's call it V like we always do. And that will be a pointer to our validator. So validator dot validator. All right. Again, you need to include that in your imports, but since Visual Studio Code does that for me, I didn't have to do it. Okay, but you need to make sure you import it. All right. Okay, now what do we need to return? Well, we need to return an int. Okay, oops, so this is not right. Default value should not be a string. Actually, we need to specify an int. All right. Okay, so let's proceed. We need to now make sure that we include everything that should be provided. So again, we're going to do something very straightforward, and we will get the value. So get the value. So if, so value, we're getting ahead of myself. QS dot get key. Alright, so if value is the empty string, then we know that our search was unsuccessful. And so what we will do is to return the default value. Okay, so return default value. Now, if it turns out that there is a non-empty string present, then we need to actually perform some conversion. So let's perform the conversion to an integer. All right. Of course, this could fail. So I'm going to have int value error, and I'm going to call our string convert that array to I. All right. And so we need to provide the string, which is value. And since there is a possibility that this conversion can fail, I need to check error. So if error is not equal to nil, then we know the conversion failed. And so the user, the client, provided invalid data. So we're going to add that to the validation map. Right, so add error. And if you recall, we need to provide a couple of pieces of information. The key, the message. So what is the key? Well, the key will be whatever we're looking for. And the message will be something like must be an integer value. Alright. Now once we have placed that entry into the error validation map, then I can go ahead and return the default value, since that's what we have to return. Alright, so notice I'm returning the default value here if the string is empty. I'm returning the default value here if the data was invalid. It was present, but it was invalid. Now, if we pass two of these, then it means that it was valid data, and then I will just return int value. All right, that's it. Again, a straightforward method. Taking the string, if it's empty, we use our default. If it's not empty, we need to validate it. If the validation fails, we use our default. And if everything checks out, we return that converted string, which has been converted to an int. So that's it for our helper methods. So in the next lesson, we will look at how we can use these helper methods to help us implement our functionality. I'll see you in those videos.